Urayuli. Urayuli are Native American cryptids who are said to be transformed children who became lost in the woods at night. They are also known as hairy men, and are often described as 10 feet tall with long shaggy hair and luminescent eyes, with arms reaching down to their ankles. They emit a high-pitched scream. Often known to be relatively peaceful, they are a cryptid said to live in the woodlands of southwestern Alaska. Apotamkin, a giant fanged sea monster living in the Passamaquoddy Bay, known for eating careless children who come too close to the bay. It is said to be a serpent with long red hair. In some versions of the story, it was once a human woman before being changed into a serpent. Yehasuri. The Yehasuri are 2 feet tall humanoid creatures from Catawba legend. Their name translates to wild little people. They are known to be tricksters who have the capacity to be vicious. The Catawba people believe that the Yehasuri sleep in tree stumps and eat food they can forage, such as insects and small animals. The only way to protect yourself from the Yehasuri is to rub tobacco on your hand and recite an ancient prayer. Chindi. In Navajo religious beliefs, a Chindi is a ghost made of everything bad about a person that is released upon their last breath. The belief is that contact with a Chindi can cause ghost sickness and death. Ghost sickness is described as being consumed with thoughts of the dead, which can result in many symptoms, including recurring nightmares. The Navajo people believe that Chindi stay near the deceased's possessions or bones. Due to this, it is common to destroy one's possessions after death and avoid touching their bones. After death, the deceased's name is no longer spoken for fear that the Chindi will hear their name and come into contact with those that spoke it. Traditional practice is to ensure that death occurs outside, for if one was to die indoors, it is believed that the building would be inhabited by the Chindi. Pukwudgie. Pukwudgies are small humanoids described as being 2 to 3 feet tall. They are capable of becoming invisible, shape-shifting, using magic, launching poison arrows, and creating fire. It is said that when shape-shifting, one of the most common forms is that of a creature that looks like a porcupine from the back, with a half-troll, half-human form from the front. It is said to walk upright. They are known to pull nasty tricks on those who annoy them, as well as pushing people off of cliffs, stabbing them with spears or knives, as well as throwing sand in one's eyes. Skookum. A Skookum is a giant monster, much like a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, known to be a bad spirit or devil, which could take the shape of a crow, eagles, owls, blue jays, reptiles, and other animals. The Skookum were said to be able to inhabit people and cause serious illness. Thunderbird. The Thunderbird is a legendary creature with supernatural powers known to multiple Native American tribes. It is said to create thunder by flapping its wings and lightning by flashing its eyes. Although the folklore can shift between tribes, there is a consistent theme of the Thunderbird being in conflict with malevolent entities. In Ojibwe folklore, they are opponents to underwater spirits. In the folklore of Algonquin and Menominee peoples, they are enemies of the Great Horned Serpent. It is said by the Menominee that they have prevented the Great Horned Serpent from overrunning the earth and devouring humanity. Horned Serpent. The description across multiple Native American peoples can vary and include that it is a giant snake-like creature known to live in water, often described as having scales like crystals and 1 or more horns. The horned serpent can be associated with things like storms, including thunder and lightning, disease, and rainbows. Its body has been described to be useful for creating medicine and practicing divination. Sisiutl, a double-headed sea serpent with a supernatural human face in the center. All 3 heads usually have horns, with the 2 serpent heads having spiraling or upturned noses. Associated with shamans, as it is seen as a mediator between both the natural and supernatural worlds. It was believed that killing a Sisiutl would grant a shaman its healing magic to them, and that the Sisiutl's blood will make a warrior invincible. Because of this, it was common for cultural garbs to have images of the Sisiutl. Nimerigar. According to legend, the Nimerigar are a race of vicious little people found in the Rocky Mountains. Their name translates to people eaters, and they were thought to use bows with poisoned arrows. They lived in societies where it is thought that they would kill their own if they became too ill to be a participating member of society. Amikuk. The Amikuk is a shapeshifter whose behavior changes depending on which form it is in. It is said to live in the sea, underground, and as a human. While living in the sea, it is described as a hairless, 4-armed creature that attacks hunters in kayaks, seeking to drag them underwater to be eaten. While living in the ground, it almost swims through the ground as it searches for human prey, frequently attacking by swimming really fast around a person, which would turn the ground into quicksand. It could then either jump into a person, making them weak, or jump through a person, making them lie down and die. It is said that when it gets bored, it will take the form of a human. If one were to meet it in human form, they must turn their back to it and sit down. It will begin to make offers of increasing value, which the human can accept once they're satisfied. Wechuge. The Wechuge is a cursed cannibalistic creature who is said to be possessed by the power of an ancient giant spirit animal. It is made of ice with superhuman strength. It is said that the reason for their possession and transformation is that they broke a taboo and became too strong. The Wechuge attempts to lure humans away from the group using cunning so that it can devour them. The only way to kill it is by throwing it on a campfire to melt it. Haietilk. The Haietilk, also known as a lightning serpent, serves a dual purpose as both an ally and a tool for the Thunderbirds, assisting them in whale hunting. These creatures are depicted as massive serpents with razor-sharp heads and tongues capable of emitting lightning bolts. A strike from a Haietilk is potent enough to significantly injure a whale, allowing the Thunderbird to easily capture it. The Haietilk is described in various ways, including residing among the feathers of the Thunderbird to be released with a wing flap, or inhabiting the inland coastal waters and lakes. Haakpainizi. Haakpainizi is described as a spirit or ogre with multiple forms. These include a giant grasshopper wielding 2 canes and carrying a basket, an elderly man, or a swarm of grasshoppers. Haakpainizi is known for his deceptive behavior, singing to children and speaking to them in a gentle manner. This strategy is used to lower their guard, enabling him to scoop them up into his basket. Once captured, the children are taken to his lair where he eats them. Underwater Panther. Also referred to as a Mishipeshu or the Great Lynx, underwater panthers in various traditions are sometimes viewed as guardians, but more commonly, they are considered malevolent entities associated with death and misfortune. These creatures are an amalgamation of features from several animals, typically possessing the body of a large feline such as a cougar or lynx, adorned with horns from deer or bison, scales along their back, and occasionally feathers and other various animal parts. For the Algonquins, the underwater panther was regarded as the most formidable being of the underworld, whereas the Ojibwe viewed them as a master over all water creatures, including snakes. Described as aquatic monsters, underwater panthers stand in opposition to the Thunderbirds. They are often depicted with extraordinarily long tails, sometimes having serpentine qualities, and are believed to produce sounds resembling storms or rushing rapids. Underwater panthers are said to reside in the deepest parts of lakes and rivers and are capable of inducing storms. Chepi. A Chepi is a spirit of the dead who shares knowledge or wisdom with medicine people in dreams or visions. Chepis could be called upon the Pawa, or medicine person, to destroy an enemy. Atahsaia. Atahsaia, a demon in Zuni mythology, is portrayed as a colossal giant, much larger than a human. In stories, he's so massive that he can't fit into caves easily navigatable by humans and is as big as a large elk. Described with long, wild, grey hair, thick and gnarled hands with horn-like knuckles, his features include bison-like mane, a wide mouth, and a swollen red face with bulging, unblinking yellow tusks and long talons. Notoriously a cannibal and predator of humans, Atahsaia is also a liar. He's often armed with massive weapons like a giant flint axe or a huge flint knife. Chenoo. Chenoo are generally described as larger than the average man, getting bigger the hungrier they are. They have sharp fangs which stand out due to their lips having been chewed off. Chenoo used to be human, being corrupted by dark magic and cursed to eat people's flesh. Their bodies became excruciatingly warm, forcing them to live out in the snow. Dzoavits. Dzoavits is depicted as a demonic figure or ogre known for stealing the sun and abducting children. He is linked to volcanic activity and cannibalism. In many of these stories, Dzoavits battles various mythic creatures before ultimately being confined in a cave. Skinwalker. A skinwalker is a type of harmful witch that can shapeshift. They might be able to transform into various animals or possess living people. They are thought as an evil or corrupt medicine man or woman. Bakwas. Bakwas is a mythical entity often referred to as the wild man of the woods. Bakwas is known for consuming ghost food from shells. He is said to offer this food to living humans lost in the woods as a means to transport them to the ghost world. Consuming this food is believed to transform a human into a creature akin to Bakwas. He resides in a hidden house within the forest where it is said that the spirits of those who have drowned gather. Kushtaka. Kushtaka, shapeshifting beings that can transform into humans or otters, and possibly other forms. Their behavior varies across stories. Sometimes they're seen as malevolent, luring sailors to their doom, while in other tales, they're benevolent, saving people from freezing to death by transforming them into fellow Kushtaka, which is counted as a mixed blessing. They often create illusions of loved ones to distract their targets as they transform them. Some legends claim they mimic human cries to attract victims, either killing them or transforming them. They are known for their distinctive low-high-low whistling sounds. Achiyalaptopa, in Zuni mythology, is a notable figure endowed with celestial powers. This entity is characterized by its wings and a tail comprised of flint knives, which it uses as projectiles to hurl at targets. Deer Woman. Deer Woman is generally against men who have inflicted harm upon women or children. She manifests as a vengeful and deadly force. She is known to entice such men towards their demise. Her form varies, appearing either as an enchanting young woman with the feet of a deer, or entirely as a deer. Wendigo. Described as a malevolent, cannibalistic, supernatural being, it is often associated with winter, coldness, famine, and starvation. The Wendigo is depicted as having a gaunt, emaciated appearance, symbolizing its insatiable hunger. Its approach is signaled by a foul stench or sudden chill. In some stories, humans transform into Wendigos as a consequence of resorting to cannibalism driven by extreme conditions. Rainbird. The Rainbird was known by various coastal tribes as the bringer of life, and was known to bring rain when it appeared. It was known as the bringer of life because these rains would water and nourish the forest, giving food and water to the animals they hunted. It was thought that the Rainbird controlled the sky and was father to the Sky Children. Seelkee. The Seelkee originates from Canadian folklore and is said to be a large lake monster, sporting the body of a sea serpent and the head of a horse. Some depictions of this creature say it has 2 heads or is covered by red circular designs. It is said if you saw one, you should never turn your back on it, otherwise you would become sick.